We are back, and guess what?
This is our last part. There is no match.
There is no match. Remember, recommend them if you have any.
Yes.
I have some, but I'm just trying to source them, and
You're trying to find them on an illegal pirated stream.
right, so I can download them because
Right.
the Flare thing was a download, and I think that's a good direction to go. Now, as it relates to our topic, fantasy booking simulators.
Yes.
There are a few of them. We tried a couple of them. We heard a few of them, but let's talk about them.
Yeah.
Now,
And so
I have
just some context if you don't know what a pro wrestling booking simulator is. Essentially, it's a GM mode for like computers.
yes.
Or Steam Deck or whatever. There's a lot of them out there in various different forms. Obviously,
We're not going to go through all of them.
Right.
So there are some.
Most people who are maybe a little more casual in the space maybe have been exposed to it through the GM modes in WWE games.
Yep.
I don't think AEW has a GM mode.
No, they do
their
not.
game.
No.
But anyways, these are games that are outside of that sphere.
Yep.
So they're the same
These
genre.
are fan made. A lot of them are mod friendly.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool.
And they're essentially GM modes for computers or Steam Decks or whatever.
Right.
So outside of the individual branding of WWE.
Right.
Well, let's talk about a few of them.
So Fire Pro Wrestling.
This one is probably the most well known.
Yes. Even though there is more so, it's more so Japanese based, and a lot of the American wrestlers are named something else. Fire Pro Wrestling World does have a sandbox simulator that you can play matches in. This is the only one of something like this that has it where you can simulate the actual match, not just the result.
Right, so you can actually like do move by move simulation.
Yes.
And then I don't know if you can actually play those matches.
I think you can. I think you can actually play the matches.
But that's the only one where you can actually interact in the match itself.
And you can also get this on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can get this on Steam. So Pro Wrestling Promoter is one that is older.
Mm-hmm.
So I think their last tweet was like in 2022.
Yeah.
I think this is the one that's actually attached to a Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it, and it's pretty much dead in the water, but it still does exist. Once again, I'll have a link to their Twitter in the description, so you can check it out. This is sort of how they do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend
so
it.
it's probably out to date.
Yep. This one,
TW is very much is also very well known.
yes, TW has the most diversity of the different mods. Ow, God. So this one has the most as it relates to diversity. So there are a lot of mods that you can start out on.
You can get very detailed with this game.
Yeah. And we looked at it when we were switching over from one to another or testing out a few of them. It was okay. I thought it was like a little much.
It's probably a little much unless you really like to immerse yourself deep into the booking.
Yep.
But so just for other context, we do a little booking simulation of our own. We used one and we tried a few others, and we switched over to another one.
We're actually talking about both of them, too.
And then we'll talk about both of them. But that's the reason why this topic came up, was because I thought, well, we were talking about these simulators. Why don't we just show people what these simulators are?
Right. So now this is going to be Pro Wrestling Sim.
Yes, this is one on Steam. This is one that I actually did purchase and try it out. It has a little less detail in it than something like TEW. A lot of people have compared TEW with Pro Wrestling Sim in terms of the detailability in it. But again, you can find this one on Steam. It's pretty good for what it is. A couple of issues with it.
It wasn't for what we were particularly looking for.
Right. And it was very much competition based sort of thing. Which is something that I'm not really all that interested in.
You can play with like other people that have the game. And that was like the one thing we were looking for, true in-universe sandbox that was distinctly our own.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that a game like this is stored on a local server, so you can't make an account with it or anything. You kind of have to carry it around with you like a traditional video game.
Yep.
So that was another issue that we saw with it. And it just takes up space on your computer.
Right, exactly. So once again, a lot of pros, a lot of cons. If you want to check it out, once again, link. So it's on Steam. Just look up Pro Wrestling Sim, and you'll find it. So
all right, so this is one that we initially started with. FedSim is a browser-based game, and what it does is saves files as JSON files. So what we were doing essentially with this was we both had the FedSim.io
saved locally on our computers,
right.
and we would exchange a flash drive when it was time to update
with the JSON files on them. This is very good if for me, I think it's good if you
were doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
The support is good.
Yes.
I can't say enough good things about this, but the only thing that we had a problem with is that we constantly ran into the game not updating when it came to the exchange.
Like saving, yeah.
So if Peanut Gallery liked to make the matches, and I did a lot of the creative aspects. So there's a lot of really good visuals that you can put on there. You can really customize it quite detailed. As it relates to what you want to do with it. You can have multiple brands. You can run different companies and have different pictures.
Especially with their FedSim X, which is their most recent model. It's very detailed. You can do a lot of different things with it.
And I'll link it in the description.
It was that single point of failure that really got to us.
Yep, and it was very frustrating that it would not be updating at all. So when we went back into it, Peanut Gallery and I sat down and we're like, what are we looking for? And what our big things were, it had to be account-based that is on a different server. So we can exchange it just by saying that the account is updated.
Yes.
The payment, as long as the price was right, we would be okay with it. So FedSim is free.
Yep,
the ones on Steam, I think like the most expensive one, which is Sim, was like $20 or something.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how much TW cost or Fire Pro Wrestling cost.
I'm not sure, but I know that both of those you also have to pay for.
Yeah.
So
but FedSim is great for a free account. If you want to look for a good free account, this is a one.
Yep. If you want to, it's a really good first step into this world within fantasy booking, just because it's free, and if you play by yourself on your own local drive, if you want to save JSONs and then go back into it. Now, if you had it on one computer, you can close out of that window and you can go back into FedSim X and it's still saved locally on there.
There are concerns about bugs, so FedSim does recommend you save it even if it is on the computer, just because it sometimes will not save.
They update it all the time.
Yep.
The person is really accessible on Twitter.
Yep.
So you can message the person if there are any issues and they will help you out. Sometimes it takes a little bit for them to get back to you, but this is a popular game.
Yes, it is.
So, and I think I'm not sure if it's only one person or a few.
They're probably a little team, but it's all volunteer too. So it's a lot of work into it.
Yeah. It was just getting frustrating, at least in our own this was only personal.
Yeah.
But we can't recommend the game enough. It's a really cool little game. And I think, this is what we're doing right now. So Journey of Wrestling. So there is a free version, which is fairly limited. It gives you, once again, a good step into it. This game has been around for a while.
Yes.
And the full version is
$15.
It's $15 for the full version. But when you jump into it, it has everything up to date, and not just
not everything up to date, but there are people who create accounts and share those accounts,
so you can
share those universes with you that are completely 100% up to date.
Yep, every title, every champion, they have these little digital. They have like these little. They look like Minecraft characters. They're really cool looking. It has a very different flair, and
it's very accessible, very easy to get into.
And also, you can play as many companies as you want.
Yes.
So it's not just the big ones. You can play GCW. You can play Pro Wrestling Noah. You can play all of them. If you wanted to have every single company known to mankind you can. But there's actually an AI component that will actually fantasy book other companies alongside your companies.
Right.
But you have to make that decision, because when you start, you are set in that. So if you wanted to add more companies or you wanted to stop
you'd have to
start over.
Yeah, you'd have to start over.
But we have found this one to be the best.
Oh, absolutely.
And for what we were looking for, it saves automatically. It's very just cookie cutter.
You have an account. There's cloud storage. You don't have to worry about stuff getting lost or things not saving correctly. So there's a lot of good things about this, but
for what we were looking for, it was the best option. And
absolutely.
for $15, it's $15.
Right.
We use it often.
Yep.
We like to see sort of what happens with certain things.
Yep.
And as it goes, it'll actually give you recommendations on matches.
Well, it auto generates feuds and stuff like that, so it does deviate itself from the norm.
Right.
That's what you're looking for.
Right. The one thing that I will say with Journey of Wrestling, that I would say that FedSim or even Pro Wrestling Sim does, is that it's not as complicated.
Right.
So
it's very simplistic.
Yep. So with this, it's like, oh, you have momentum and different champions, and you can either have your own people or do this. If you are very,
if you want customization, go for the Steam games. Those will give you all the customization.
Yep. I would say if you're a little more into it, if you're really constantly doing the simulators, if you're doing mods, the Steam games are definitely going to be for you. Same thing with FedSim.io, just because of the versatility, because it gives you stamina, damage, it'll injure people.
Journey of Wrestling does it, but it's a little more simplistic.
Yeah, it's very simplistic, which is perfect for us, because really what we were looking for was certain aspects, like the account based, like a full sandbox. That was the other one that we were looking for, where when we were booking, like, our little universe has its own thing. So I think as an example, our world heavyweight champion right now is Jey Uso.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be the same for somebody who downloaded the same template on their own personal one.
Right.
I don't think there is an online capability as it relates to Journey of Wrestling either.
No, there's no online interaction.
But there are forums and a Discord that you can join in and you can share it. I've explored it a little bit. It's really cool. And I'm not sure if they have support. I haven't run into issues to justify support
with it either. But again, this is another one that's very active, one that updates a lot. But I just wanted to kind of go through some of these because I thought it was interesting and timely.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe if there are like other simulators, like Create a Wrestler, let us know. And if there are any issues that you ran into, share us your stories as well. Peanut Gallery, what are we doing next week?
Not sure.
I think there is a show. I just can't remember what it was.
Well, again, no, that would be the following week. But yeah, I don't think there's a show next week.
Nope. So we will let you know if you enjoyed it. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, send us matches. If there is a match, please send a link for me to download it.
Yes.
It just makes it a lot easier than just streaming it on the internet.
Yeah.
And become a patron. Check out all of our links. And as always, be
majestic.